Hey there friends, we just finished installing an external dropper post on this fat tire bike. We used the PNW Cascade externally routed dropper post. You can see a little actuator right there. And we thought we'd walk you through our installation process, the things that we did, why we really love this as an external dropper post. And then again, a couple of tips and tricks that may help you with your routing, your cable management for these externally routed dropper posts. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so obviously the parts that you need for this are your PNW external dropper post. Now, if you have another external dropper post, the same process will work for that. Again, if you need links to any of these parts, we'll put stuff in the description box below where you can purchase these things on Amazon. I actually bought this as a package deal from PNW. It comes with the remote trigger as well as the line that goes up here to actuate the dropper and a few other small little bits that are in there. Again, you can buy these separately, but if you buy as a package, it's a little bit cheaper. Okay, again, just for reference, here's what comes inside that small packet. We have the actuating line. Again, this is gonna run from our trigger. Here's a little trigger here with the PNW symbol, and we can mount this a number of different ways. I believe you can mount it like this, you can push down, or I like to have the trigger in this kind of configuration. So I can push down with my thumb that direction. And then we have a couple other, obviously, components that hook into the actual line. And then again, this came with this black line here that we can run our cable through. So here are another couple of optional parts that I picked up because of the type of bike that I'm going to be putting this on. It's a fat tire bike. So we'll see how well this works. We're gonna use it as our install. Again, this is totally optional based off of your bike color and if you have to route, like I said, along a bike frame. Okay, so we are down in the basement today. It's a very cold Colorado day, so we're working on the fat bike down in the basement to stay warm. And this is where we did end up installing the dropper post here. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at our setup, the way that we routed things, the little hacks and tweaks that we use to kind of hide cables and make it look decent, and an overall example of how the dropper is used on this specific bike. So first things first was the seat install. Basically, this is pretty self-explanatory. If you torque down on this bolt, the seat actually moves down in this direction. If you torque on this side, it actually moves back and allows you to kind of get a really nice flat angle for your seat or a different angle if you're used to something else. That was a little bit weird to kind of get this saddle in and tighten everything down, but once you figure out that that's what those two bolts do, it's fairly easy to get this nice and level. Okay, coming down, you can see that we actually just had enough space with our specific dropper length. This is 125 millimeters, but this is also a large frame. Now I am in between medium and large when it comes to the frame. And so thankfully this was just enough so where my full leg extension is able to give me enough room. And then obviously this lowers. I probably could have gone with 100 millimeter dropper on the length. So again, really do your pre-measurements to make sure you're getting the correct length. Okay, coming down again, you can see this is where it is externally routed. Again, I'll let you watch some other videos on exactly how to install this, but it's a fairly simple process. Again, I'm just showing you, again, cable management and those kind of things. I am actually using a quick release around the seat tube right here. A lot of people, because it's a dropper, will lock things in using one of these type of seat rings, again, to kind of clamp everything down and make sure everything stays put. I wanted to use the quick release version because this can slide open and go up in the event I'm letting a larger rider borrow this bike. Okay, now we get into the fun part, and that's the cable management. Now, what I chose to do is actually run the cable down my seat tube and then up the underside of the down tube, obviously coming out right here, and then slinging over across the top of my brake lever and into my actual thumb trigger on the cockpit. Now let me show you why I chose to do that. Most people would run the cable straight underneath the top tube here. Unfortunately though, as you can see, I only have one little area where I can run cable. And even this, the way it's designed, won't allow for that full black sheathing to come through. So as you can see, there's only one of these little metal things that are attached to the frame. Kind of difficult to run a zip tie or anything like that if you wanted to run this specific cable along that length. Now, one potential would be to, again, run it alongside this shifting cable, but then I would have to run zip ties all along the top tube, which looks ugly. I just don't like it. Plus, it potentially has the ability to interfere with my shifting cable. So what I did have the ability to do is run it down the seat tube underneath the bottom bracket here. Again, this is fairly loose down there. What I did do is I got a zip tie, again, a little hack that you can do. This is a red zip tie, so it matches my frame and really hides it. From a distance, you really have a hard time seeing this. But all this does is it keeps this away from my tire. So my tire doesn't rub against this, against the cable housing here. So from there, I go underneath the bottom bracket. Again, what you could do is I could have run a cable straight down. This would be an internally routed cable straight down the seat tube and then out here, but I would have had to drill a hole. Didn't want to do that. Wanted to simply use what I had. And down here, this is again where our brake cable is being run, and it has housing ties and the ability to go straight into there on the side and then wrap a zip tie straight through this guy and around both of the cables. So again, you've got one of those little frame brackets right here, and all the way up here, which makes the connection really, really tight. So as you can see, the main brake line is running down the middle, and then the PNW is running just on the side of that. With the zip tie in place, these really do, you can see I'm jiggling this, and they just stay really nice and in place. So again, figure out where your frame little brackets are. And again, a lot of people have them up here. If they're down here, this is a great way of, again, routing your cables. Okay, so coming out of the bottom tube there, you can see that we ran straight up into the brake cable again. And I just put a little zip tie right here. This one actually moves around a little bit. But again, all I want to do is keep it so that it's secure against the other one and we didn't have this flailing up here. It just looks a little bit nicer. It keeps things nice and tight. This ran up across the top of my brake lever here and then straight into, again, that trigger guard. And what I chose to do is actually put my trigger right here, just on this side of the brake. And basically it just meant I had to move over, about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch with my brake lever. Over here, I didn't change this one. It actually is exactly the same as it was. So again, all I'm experiencing on this side is roughly 1/4 of an inch difference. It really doesn't, I don't notice it at all when I'm on the trail. So again, you can kind of match these on either side if you want to. And it's just a nice, easy shift on the handlebars to allow that trigger to be in place. This rotates up or down depending on where you like your trigger. I like mine down a little bit just so I can get my thumb straight out there and push it in. Okay, so the last thing to do is give this a little bit of a test. Again, this is going to be hard one-handed, but I'll go ahead and push down the trigger here. And then with the seat, this now gives us the ability to just push it straight down. You do need to release the trigger, and then obviously the seat stays in place. So again, the nice thing about these PNW seats is that the actual cabling is mounted down here where your seat clamp is and not up here. I hate it when this goes up and down and the cable just flops around. It really looks terrible in my opinion. These PNWs have it mounted down at the bottom so this cable never moves. Everything stays nice and tight and in place. It just looks a ton better. Let's go ahead and hit that trigger again and raise the seat back up. I'm gonna push this down. Let's get this position so you kind of see it. As you see, that kind of slides right up. Again, not a super fast mechanism to push it up, but with this being half the price of that Fox transfer, I really do like how it works. So again, our initial review, super positive. Again, just wanted to show you the cable routing that we did, give you some potential ideas for your specific bike. Hope this helps. If it has, hit that thumbs up button for us. Stay tuned, subscribe, because we're making a bunch more component videos, bike tutorial videos all sorts of cool stuff. Stay tuned and we'll see you again on the next one.